Welcome back, Patriots. Welcome to Sons of Liberty 1773. This is indeed where men and women from around the world gather in defense of liberty. I am your host, Bill Bailey, who will be channeling the patriotism of America's founding fathers. Like 21-year-old Nathan Hale, really the first spy of the American Revolution, working directly for George Washington, captured by the British. And as they hung a noose around his neck, his final words were, "I only regret that I have but one life to give for my country," before the British hung him. True patriots, people willing to, give it all, sacrifice their lives for this country. We're going to need a lot more of them today because it's going to get much worse. So before I get into the tyrannical police state in Provo, Utah, where they've, to me, looks like assassinated an American citizen, our economy and the debt is still spiraling out of control. And I keep this taped on the wall by my desk here. And this is old, so it's even worse now. So how much is $1 billion? And we're talking trillions now, right? But let's just talk about $1 billion. 1 billion seconds ago, it was 1959. 1 billion minutes ago, Jesus was alive walking the earth. Still is alive, and he's coming back. 1 billion hours ago, our ancestors were living in the Stone Age. 1 billion days ago, no one walked on the earth on 2 feet. $1 billion ago was about 8 hours ago when this was done. It's probably 7 now. 8 hours and 20 minutes at the current rate of government spending. It's unsustainable, folks, and it's all going to come unglued. So the imagery there of the FBI evidence response team, that's when, they sweep it up. Remember Pulp Fiction, when they accidentally shot the guy and they needed their car cleaned up and they called the guy and I can't think of the actor's name, but they showed up and cleaned everything up and made it go away. I think maybe that's what the FBI evidence response team is. But let me pull up the internet here. So new details emerge about 75-year-old Utah man gunned down by FBI agents. Neighbor capture footage showing the moments before he was killed. This is a message from the regime, right? Oh, and the left is all giddy over this. This is what we do to MAGA supporters. All their chat rooms are lit up with evil against America First patriots, a lot of Christian nationalists, Christians like myself that love America, right? Christian nationalists. Our founding roots are completely based on Judeo-Christian society. 99.999% of the founding fathers were devout Christians. Don't let anybody tell you different. We have all the quotes. We have the receipts. We have all the proof. When they say America was never a Judeo-Christian society or we weren't founded on Judeo-Christian principles, that is just a bald-faced lie by the godless communist. So this man was a great man, a Christian, active in his community, woodworker, loved animals. I will read you the family statement. But it sounds like they should. Look, he made some posts that I believe should be protected by First Amendment rights. I mean, it's one thing to say you're going to hurt someone. It's another thing to do it or insinuate you are. But probably shouldn't have said them. He was on social media performance, old fart that's 300 pounds, like 5'8", walks with a cane, can't move quick, isn't going to harm a flea. But the FBI, that's all they needed to show up and throw a flashbang in there. And from what the neighbors are saying, they threw a flashbang in and then they opened up fire on him and just blew him away. Then they pulled him out of the house onto the sidewalk and they let him bleed to death. So the public, little kids and stuff in the neighborhood could see this is what happens when you threaten the regime. But I certainly wouldn't have posted what he posted, but people are pissed off right now, and saying thing and doing it are two separate things. But here's the and this is the war. Look at the they're attacking the Catholics, right? The traditional Catholics. They've identified us as the enemy, right? The president, the selected one, the custodian, the puppet in Washington, went to Independence Hall in Pennsylvania, defiled that holy ground, and declared over 100 million Americans enemies of the state. Remember the mega Republicans are the greatest threat to democracy. You notice how they'll never call us a constitutional republic, right? They don't. I mean, they never say that word. It's always democracy. They're a threat to democracy. We've got to protect democracy. We are a democratic republic, but we're a representative republic. We are a constitutional republic where the power isn't with the government, it's with the people. Although they're doing a damn good job of taking the power away from us, and it's up to us. We've all got to find the Nathan Hale in ourselves, and the Sam Adams, and all those great founders that pledged everything. Life, liberty, and their sacred honor, their fortunes, to defend and build this country. So many patriots have shed their blood and limbs and bone and sacrificed it all for us to live the lives we do. And we would be spitting on their graves if we don't grab the baton and run with defending liberty and freedom. Here's the family statement. And this will give you, if anybody knows this man, Craig Robertson better, the family knows him better than anybody else is going to know him. So Craig Robertson family statement in full. We, the family of Craig DeLue Robertson, are shocked and devastated by the senseless and tragic killing of our beloved father and brother, and we fervently mourn the loss of a good and decent man. The Craig Robertson we knew was a kind and generous person who was always willing to assist another in need, even when advanced age, limited mobility, and other physical challenges made it more difficult and painful for him to do so. He often used his expert woodworking skills to craft beautiful and creative items for others, including toys such as sleighs, rocking horses, and bubble gum dispensers for the children of friends and neighbors at Christmas time. He was active in his local church congregation and loved the Lord Jesus Christ with all his heart. He was a devoted dog lover all his life, and he lavished his animals with love and affection. He was a lover of history and an avid reader of every kind of book. In his younger years, he was a sportsman and hunter. He was a firearm enthusiast, collector and gunsmith, who staunchly supported the constitutionally protected right to keep and bear arms for the purposes of providing food and protection for his family and home. As a safety inspector in the steel industry, he worked diligently and conscientiously to safeguard the lives and well-being of untold thousands who would use and benefit from the numerous industrial and public works projects he was responsible for during the course of his decades-long career. Craig loved the country with all his heart. He saw it as a God-inspired and God-blessed land of liberty. Amen. He was understandably frustrated and distraught by the present and ongoing erosions to our constitutionally protected freedoms and the rights of free citizens wrought by what he and many others in this nation observed to be a corrupt and overreaching government. As an elderly and largely homebound man, there was very little he could do but exercise his First Amendment right to free speech and voice his protest in what has become the public square of our age, the internet and social media. Though his statements were intemperate at times, he has never and would never commit any act of violence against another human being over a political or philosophical disagreement. As our family processes the grief and pain of our loss, we would have it be known that we hold no personal animosity toward those individuals who took part in the ill-fated events of the morning of August 6, 2013 at 6:15 a.m., which resulted in Craig's death. We ask that the media and public respect our family members' privacy and give us the time and space needed to come to terms with the sad tragedy of these events. Steve Bannon tweeted in cold blood, or shared on Getter. Here is a photo of Craig Robertson in Provo, a carpenter who had recently organized a group of volunteers to build a ramp for a disabled neighbor. So who was Craig Robertson? He was Middle America. He was a Christian nationalist. Somebody that loved this country and loved God and the Lord Jesus Christ. Somebody that was active in his community in the church. And he questioned the regime, and they showed up and killed him and then dragged his body out. What I'm hearing is they just all opened up fire, the FBI, first one shoots and they just all shoot. And so, they said, well, maybe they pulled him out and they were trying to resuscitate him. Well, if he's got, like 30 holes in him, probably not. So what we need, so we know that what actually happened and we're not speculating, is we need the body cam footage, right? Just makes you angry, doesn't it? We remember Ashley Babbitt, right? Shot. Kevin D. Greeson at January 6th protest, where people were exercising their First Amendment rights, right? Kevin D. Greeson, who I heard was hit with a gas canister. They're saying he had a stroke, but I heard it crushed his chest, and he died on the sidewalk. Roseanne Boylan, who looks like was beat to death by the Capitol Police. And there was another one, Benjamin Phillips, who died of a stroke, they say. So, who knows? But these are the actions of a tyrannical police state. Make no mistake about it. And prayers for his family as they heal and deal with the loss of their loved one. Carrying out with this theme of the tyrannical state. Make sure you guys can see that because I can never tell until I get an extra screen. Free speech right, not so absolute. Obama Judge Tanya Chutkan, I don't know how you say her last name, delivers mixed ruling on Trump. Basically, folks, she put a gag order on him that he can't talk, and while he's campaigning, she puts, I cannot and I will not factor into my decisions the influence it will have on a political campaign on either side. There are limits regarding with what's going on. I hate to say it. With his day job, that means there are going to be limits on the defendant's speech. So, this is the radical left trying to take out their political opponent, trying to silence them. Just living in, I assume Trump will immediately appeal this to the Supreme Court and we will get justice at the Supreme Court. And they're going to say Trump is your number one political opponent, Joe Biden, and you left-wing court nut job judge. And he has First Amendment rights, and no, you're not going to silence him. But it's a political witch hunt, and it's going to continue in Georgia when the indictments come out of Georgia. I want to share this video. Stay with me, folks, because you got to watch this. DC Drano talk about the evidence that's been discovered in Michigan that was covered by the great Gateway Pundit. This is, remember, God, this just irks the hell out of me. Coomer just come out and said, ultimately, we are bringing Biden and Hunter Biden to the committee in front of his committee to testify. We are going to subpoena them. And he meant it, and it's obvious he meant it. So what does Merrick Garland do? He appoints a special counsel to protect Hunter Biden from having to be subpoenaed and testified. They are such slimy, evil bastards, folks. So a special counsel appointed in Hunter Biden investigation. Attorney General Merrick Garland appointed U.S. Attorney David Wise as a special counsel. And here's why they're doing it, folks. Let's go down to these tweets. Obstruction of Congress. Merrick Garland appoints David Wise as special counsel to prevent the House from investigating the DOJ's sweetheart deal with Hunter on his sale of Joe's influence. The special counsel will block congressional oversight until after the 2024 election. Someone else puts this as fake, and so now they can refuse to hand over documents to Congress, and there's an ongoing investigation. So and then can't pronounce this guy's last name. Greg Stoop, is that what Stube? Representative Greg Stube, again, sorry if I'm butchering that name, announces to file impeachment resolution against Joe Biden for bribery, extortion, obstruction of justice, fraud, financial involvement in drugs and prostitution. We have the facts and all the evidence now. So Merrick Garland is running defense and trying to block them from getting to Joe or his son. Obviously, right? Isn't it just maddening? We want justice. We demand justice. And I'll tell you, I hope this this man's family that was gunned down in cold blood in Provo, Utah, gets with an attorney and sues the government. Look, when you throw a flashbang into someone's house that's sleeping at 6:15, that you know has guns, they know his history. They could have showed up at his church or showed up and talked to him and said, listen, we need to talk to this guy. He's made some veiled threats on social media. We need to know if there's anything to it. And they would have discovered the guy's just a 300-pound overweight man that walks with a cane that would harm no one. The left, Kathy Gibbert, remember the severed head? They're making threats about killing Trump all the time. Their house getting swatted, any of them getting shot at 6:30 a.m., 6:15 a.m. in the morning? No. So I think the FBI is way out of control, and I think this is a crime against the American people, and I think they should be held accountable. Let's see the body. I hope they sue the hell out of the FBI. Get the body cam footage and let's see the evidence, okay? Let's see all the evidence. Watch them say, well, we are supposed to have body cams, and they had them on, but it was damaged. We had it, but it got damaged trying to retrieve it. We're dealing with tyranny, folks. Let's watch this video. This is really good. I watched this interview on Steve Bannon. I've been wanting to share it with you. So let's do it. Let me get on my headphones.
DC Drano, Rogan O'Hanley, Michigan, this blockbuster story. Jim Hoft of the Gateway Pundit, or I guess Jim Hoft is the Gateway Pundit, and Patty McMurray are going to join us in a second with new updates. Rogan, walk me through your thoughts on this.
Yeah, huge props to Gateway Pundit for putting all these pieces together. So a lot of people might remember that Gateway Pundit was banned off Twitter for posting the now very, very viral video of the 3 a.m. ballot dumps in the Detroit TCF Arena, unsupervised by GOP poll workers. It looked like they had hundreds of thousands of ballots, and then we saw the infamous vote spike 2 to 3 hours later for Joe Biden, and then he ended up squeaking out Michigan, right? And what's interesting about this is there's the white van that you're seeing on the screen where all the ballots are being dumped, and what precedes the white van is a rental car, right? A rental car with plates that look like they're from Pennsylvania. Now, there's been no investigation on this. When Gateway Pundit acquired this video in February 2021, they were banned. Now we find out in this bombshell story from Gateway Pundit that the Michigan law enforcement, led by Attorney General Dana Nessel, has been suppressing a massive voter fraud scandal. What happened is there is this organization called GBI Strategies, right? And they hire these foot soldiers. We saw this in 2000 Mules. They were depositing 8 to 10,000 voter registrations in a single dump. One person would walk into a city clerk's office and dump 8 to 10,000 ballot registrations. And where they found this person was in Muskegon, Michigan, which I was like, oh, maybe that's a major metropolis. Maybe it's close to Detroit, hundreds of miles away. This has a population of 38,000 people. And a Democrat operative dropped off 8 to 10,000 ballots, ballot registration. They went through them. They saw a lot of them had the same handwriting, the same signatures, fake addresses, fake phone numbers. And then when they investigated this in October of 2020, they staked out the warehouse where they were operating out of. And when they did an investigation, they found AR-15s with silencers. They found prepaid cash cards. They found burner phones. They found paperwork for rental cars. And then they checked the trash, and the trash had all the employment agreements of their operatives. They were cleaning it up. And so Jim Hoft has exposed this. The Attorney General was involved with the investigation. She has not said a single thing about it. She's a Democrat, Dana Nessel. And here's the worst part. The FBI was brought in, and then the whole thing got basically shut down. We haven't heard about this for 3 years until the Gateway Pundit exposed it.
Rogan, here I'm gonna go to Jim and Patty in a second, but you lay out this narrative very succinctly, and I realize Dana Nessel is a bad unit, right? I got that, and I got that. You got Whitmer, you got all these people, but you've got other voices out there. Other people knew. I mean, where are the local Republican prosecutors? Where's the local Republican Party? Where are the at the time the Republicans control? I think the House and the Senate. They don't anymore. Where are? Why is it 3 years late? And why does it take Jim Hoft and Patty McMurray at Gateway Pundit to expose this? Where have the people in Michigan that are responsible on the Republican side to do this? That's where we first accountability's got to be. How did this go until August of 2023 on Gateway Pundit and War Room to bring this forward when there's tons of people out there that should have known about this? There's job to know about it and to make it a huge deal, sir.
And that's the $1 million question. I think what we have realized now is that when you find evidence of voter fraud, do not kick it up to Democrat attorney generals. Do not kick it up to the FBI and the DOJ. They will suppress it. This has to be handled locally. What the Democrats are doing, like in New York City when they're going after Trump, we have to do the same. Keep it local, okay? And one of the things to tie in with all this, why would they have these prepaid cards? Why would they have these burner phones? Because these jobs were listed publicly. Come make $15 an hour. You'll reach out to people, get out the vote, and they got a ton of money from Democrat PACs, right? This GBI Strategies, which I don't want to, jump on Jim's story. They just dropped it. But and what this woman testified to the police is she was getting over $1,100 a week, right? Do you think she was working 100 hours a week? No. They were given these prepaid cards. It was kept outside of the banks. It was kept outside of the employment agreements, getting these prepaid cards to do the dirty work, to communicate on the burner phones, to mule this stuff around in the rental cars. And then we saw the rental car on the night when the ballot spike happened, when they dumped those votes. This is all tied together. I think Gateway Pundit has unlocked this.
Before I let you go, the reason I wanted to do these two back to back, the Ohio situation and now what's happening, what we're finding out in Michigan, is twofold. Number one, as we've said now for a long time, but really focused the last couple of months, and we're going to have more of this with Bill McGinley's are going to come on and more Caroline Wren's. Because the Democratic Party works through this Arabella and others with these outside groups that have hundreds of millions of dollars, and if they need it, they'll put in billions.
Right.
Okay? to run the tables. It's not traditional. It's not traditional. We're fighting very conventionally and very traditionally. That money's coming from the outside. What you saw in Ohio and what you see here in Michigan with how this GB strategy got funded, it's just the other side of the same coin. Number one. That's the key point. Put that in your mind. Okay, I see. And this is why they announced, I think it was in Zero Hedge a couple of weeks ago, they had a story, I think, from Epic Times that they aggregated. It's $2 billion of money coming already announced by groups for 2024. Biden's campaign's not, they're raising money, but not that level. And they've got Trump spending all his money on legal. That's the opportunity cost. They want to put Trump and spend all his time and money and focus on the legal. That's why we got to have mass clarity. But the other, and I don't mean to seem harsh, and I'll hold myself accountable too, our efforts are just not good enough. They're just not good enough, and we got to stop thinking they're good enough. This thing in Michigan, and we're going to have Hoft and McBroom on here in a second. It's just not acceptable that we're in August of 2023 and this is just now coming up. It's just not, and this is on our side of the football. The efforts, whatever efforts there have been, just like the efforts in Ohio. I realize a lot of people put time and effort in it, but you guys forced it. You wanted it on in early August, and let's be blunt. The Morning Joe guys are correct because that's when you have lower turnouts because everybody's gone fishing. You do that and you get smoked. It's just not good enough. The only thing that matters here is victory. Okay? There's no substitute for victory, and we have to get that into our mind. Remember, as Napoleon told his marshals, when you set out to take Vienna, take Vienna. No crying, no tears, no excuses, no, this, and Father Pavone, like I said, you got to get that group of leaders of life, and you got to start banging some heads, and people got to get organized. We're tired of the whining and why it didn't happen and this and that, and then they're running the tables. And in Michigan, the same way. And part of this investigation ought to be not just how Dana Nessel, and it was suppressed by the FBI, yes, but who else knew about this, either in the Michigan legislature, law enforcement, anything, and why was this not coming up back in November and December of 2020? It seems to me that we're having a couple of court cases about that time frame from November to January 6th. I think there's a couple of three things that may be happening. Why was this not up with Republican authorities pushing this? DC Drano, go ahead. You get the final word here.
Here's my one optimistic point to end this segment is now we know how this system works, okay? We didn't fully understand how this worked before. Now, by putting this out on your broadcast to the War Room Posse, people who are city clerks, who are working in these administrative offices, who are, working in election offices, they can understand how this game works, right? So if this was happening in Muskegon, a city of 38,000 people, just imagine what was going on in Detroit. If they're dropping 10,000, it ended up being 12,500 in a population of 38,000. Just imagine what's happening in these cities with hundreds of thousands and with Democrat operatives that look the other way. Trump won by 15,000 votes in 2016, probably a lot more. And they showed that Joe Biden allegedly won by 150,000 votes. They must have been doing this all over the place. And what Jim Hoft is probably going to tell you soon is that this organization, this single organization, GBI Strategies, was operating in 20 different states. Just imagine how many millions of potential.
Okay. Wow, right? Ed McBroom, who is Rhino, who was the Senate Majority Leader, because we had a Republican legislature when this all went down. I'm betting he knew about it. And he wrote that bullshit election integrity report and said there was no, echoing the liberals' talking points, there is no evidence of widespread election fraud. When Dana Nessel knew there was, Gretchen Whitmer knew there was, Jocelyn Benson knew there was, and I'm betting Ed McBroom knew there was. And he wrote that report. And remember what he said? Well, I think what Dana, and he recommended Dana Nessel should go, because backstory you need to know. Matt DePerno has sued Ed McBroom in the Republican legislatures. And I believe it was over deleting evidence. And it was to do with, I think, the Todd Cursor and Cindy Gamrat case. So Ed McBroom leaves out that I've got a beef with Matt DePerno. He sued me. That wasn't in the report, was it? At least that's allegedly. I believe I'm right on that. So he puts in his report. I think what the Attorney General do should go through these, go after these attorneys who are grifting off Antrim County. It didn't mention Matt DePerno by name, but it said, go after Matt DePerno. What is Dana Nessel doing now? She's charged Matt DePerno and with felonies for accessing vote tabulators downstate and trying to disbar him, bankrupt him in court, and put him in prison. And this was hidden. Dana Nessel, Jocelyn Benson, and all of them that knew about this evidence and hid it should be removed from office and held liable for this, for lying to us, to the people. When they said one thing and they knew it wasn't true. They kept saying they're pushing the big lie that there's widespread election fraud, and there isn't none. Well, it turns out, yeah, actually there is. And so Muskegon County, and think about those numbers. Muskegon County, whatever he said, like 30,000 people, and this girl in 2 dumps gives 15,000 ballot applications. That seems a little out of whack, doesn't it? You could get half of the city a name on a ballot application. This thing is going to blow open bigger and bigger. They're operating in 20 states. And by the way, they found their hubs where they were operating out of with cell phone GPS data. Remember they said 2,000 mules, oh, there's nothing to that. That doesn't work. That's a conspiracy. But yet that's how they busted this operation. But they had, not only were they paying them in cash, right? They had cards for rental Enterprise, I believe it was Enterprise rental cars. And when you seen the 2 white vans there's an Enterprise rental car that comes in first and hands something. And there's some sort of deal. There's a changing of information in hands, trying to keep it out of the camera. They unload all the ballots. The first van pulls out. Another rental car, same thing, pulls out. Then all the ballots come in. So I don't know if they were giving them vote totals of what they had in the van or what. First, I have no idea. But we need answers. And for the for everybody to know about this when there was my lawsuit going on, and for them to hide this information is, it's criminal from us. But then it went to, look, I called the local prosecutor, I called the local sheriff, I called the state police, and I called the FBI. And I got nowhere until Matt DePerno. And by the way, Matt needs our help. I'm going to plug him in every video. Matt is under fire from this totalitarian regime by Dana Nessel, who's unleashed the power of her office against Matt in complete tyranny, trying to crush Matt, a patriot, a constitutional attorney, and somebody that loves this country and God, and is fighting for we the people. And they're trying to crush him so he can't do it again. He needs our help. So I'll always leave Matt's website. It's fightwithdeperno.com, fightwithdeperno.com in the description of the videos going forward. Click on that. You can click donate and give $5, $10, $500, $5, $10, $100, whatever you can give Matt for his fight. He's got to raise a lot of money, people. And you can leave a note. You can give anonymously if you want, and you can comment anonymously if you want. Or put your name, whatever you want to do, and tell Matt what you think, and give him some encouraging words. He reads those comments. But Matt just won a big case today, folks, for the Michigan Republican Party. Actually, for the Kalamazoo GOP, but it affects the Republican Party in Michigan as a whole, and it's big. Big victory for Matt DePerno, the lead attorney in that case. And I just made a separate video because I didn't want to put it in with this. Just minutes ago I posted it. So it's up now. Go watch it. I thank the Republicans in Lansing because we're full of rhinos. And that case Matt just won is going to allow us to start purging to make purity of party and to protect our brand. No more rhinos, no more Democrats infiltrating the Michigan Republican Party. Big victory. But the fact is, when the legislature had control, it's full of rhinos. It's the uniparty. And I think Ed McBroom was working in lockstep with Jocelyn Benson and Dana Nessel. I think that's quite obvious now. So I would like to know if Ed McBroom and the Republicans knew about this. Why weren't they helping us? Why didn't they give us this information? I can tell you, Ed is just a piece of crap. But there's many of them. So anyways, and if you want to watch that follow-up video with Jim Hoft and Patty McMurray, you should. Just go to the War Room on Rumble and go back. It's not back that far. Scroll down the page and you'll see it and watch it. But this is huge news, what's happening in Michigan. And Michigan is like the most corrupt state out of the 50 states. One of the most beautiful states you'll ever visit, northern Michigan. You get up above US 10, which kind of cuts across here, like right there. From there north in the UP, I mean, it's God's country. Beautiful state, but we have just a, satanic government, really evil. So that's it, folks. I'm gonna wrap it up here. As always, keep prepping, keep praying, pray for revival. Right? We want this country to turn back to God. 2 Chronicles 7:14, if my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, forgive their sins, and heal their land. And don't we need God's blessing right now? So until next time, Sons of Liberty out.